happy and relieved to say that with the help of Target Test Prep, I was able to check the GMAT off of my checklist with just one test, which I took a couple of weeks ago and scored a 770 on. So my GMAT journey started this past summer. I had just graduated from UC Santa Barbara with a degree in economics and accounting, and I knew that I wanted to take the test because I wanted to eventually pursue an MBA. And I also knew that I had a few months before my full-time start date. And so I figured that taking the test sometime, in that period would be best for me. One of my close friends recommended Target Test Prep to me in the very beginning, when I was kind of just learning about the test and figuring out what program I should use. And after doing some of my own research, I decided to purchase it and take the diagnostic. So honestly, I don't remember what I got on the diagnostic, but I do vividly remember that I scored actually a little bit below average on the quant section. And my verbal was fine, which I also expected. But going into that initial test, I didn't really know what to expect. I hadn't done any kind of research about the test. I kind of just went in blindly, didn't know what kind of format the questions would be or what concepts would appear. And when I came out of it, I was honestly a little bit worried because although I did expect to suffer on quant a little bit because I hadn't taken a math class or proper math class in quite some time, I didn't expect to do as bad as I did. So I kind of knew that I had a long way ahead of me, and if I wanted to score anywhere near what I knew I was capable of, I knew I'd have to put in the work. And so I took about 5 months in total to study for the test. And admittedly, those first couple of months, I know I just said I took the diagnostic and was worried but those first couple of months, I didn't really put in as much work as I should have or could have just because, I was in Santa Barbara for the summer. I just graduated college and I knew that I had quite some time to study. So, put simply, I procrastinated. But when October came around, I knew that I wanted to take the test before the winter holidays sometime. And so that's when I decided I really had to pick it up. And when I did really pick it up is when I actually realized how amazing and useful Target Test Prep really is. So as I would go through each of the chapters and take these review tests or mission tests, I think they're called, I realized that I was retaining and carrying forward actually a lot of the information with me, which I don't know why, I just didn't expect, because when you're learning so many things at once, it's kind of like, we're not learning, but relearning and, just covering so much material in such a short amount of time. You don't really expect to keep much of it in your brain. But somehow Target Test Prep had, gone so in detail with each chapter, given me so many practice tests, and really strengthened the parts that I knew I was weak at. And so even when I was doing these mission review tests, I just was doing pretty well on them. And that kind of helped me in my study process. It was kind of some positive self-encouragement. And so the curriculum, I think, is very dense, very thorough, very well organized and user-friendly. And I think that no matter who you are or what your background is or, where your starting point was at, if you really apply yourself and commit to the program, I don't really see you not getting the score that you want to get, or your maximum potential score, basically. Target Test Prep provides so many practice tests and questions and detailed explanations for all the solutions. And in the later stages of prep, when you're really just trying to rally through as many practice problems as possible, this becomes really useful. And for each quant or verbal concept, the program goes so in-depth and lays out all the fundamentals in a really understandable way. I still remember opening up a new chapter of quant, for example, and seeing a little bar at the top that would say page 0 of 101, page 0 of 110, and getting super frustrated. But, looking back, it really was a blessing to have a program that really just tried to convey as much information as possible. Another cool thing that I unfortunately didn't really discover or use until the final week of my prep is the custom test generator. So Target Test Prep can take all the questions that you got wrong from previous chapters and compile them into these custom tests, which can go a long way in covering your weak points. So yeah, overall, amazing program and really helped me a lot, and I would recommend it to anyone. And before I wrap this video up, I'll kind of, give a few tips that helped me along the way. Some of them have to do with target test prep and, in specific, but the other ones are kind of just general tips. First off, I'd say that if you have the luxury of doing so, definitely give yourself at least 2 or 3 months to study and do about 2 weeks of intensive study right before the exam. And obviously study smart and systematically, focus on your weak spots, train your concentration abilities, and actually make an effort to just understand the concepts instead of memorizing them. There's a lot to cover and reinforce, and regardless of whether you need to strengthen your verbal or your quant or both, you want to make sure that you aren't forced to cram right before the test and skip stuff along the way. Because the GMAT is a really long test, it's a really intense exam, and it'd be a shame to miss, an easy question that you would have gotten right, but you missed it just because, you didn't cover that chapter properly during your study period. Secondly, I would say to set up a schedule that you can stick to for your study plan, one that ensures that you'll finish the program a week or so before your test date, and one that accounts for periods of procrastination or just reduced productivity in general. Lastly, and probably most importantly, take notes along the way. I personally wrote down so many of the formulas, methods, solutions, and more from the quant chapters. And if I hadn't done so, I really don't think I would have gone anywhere near the score that I did get. Writing the important stuff down not only helped me memorize more efficiently, but also came in handy whenever I needed to go back and look at something I'd forgotten or become confused about. All in all, I had a great experience with target test prep, and I would recommend it to anyone and everyone. Thank you, and hope you have a great day.